Okay, so we'll start now. So now, UPSC prelims is likely to be postponed. There are some announcements going on, and some newspaper articles also coming about the postponement of this prelims. So now I am focusing more on the mains, because if the prelims get delayed, then the time between prelims and mains will get reduced, right? So here you have at least 2-3 months time. So if the exam it get postponed from May 31, then the exam will be somewhere around August or September if the situation permits. So you can say the focus should be on the relevant topics, and I've always focused on mains topics that I think most relevant. So we'll start here. First one, we had a meeting with uh, we had a meeting like chief minister meeting with the prime minister, video conference, and all raised the concern that they are not getting enough money from the center. So we got the federalism in India, and federalism in India can be divided into number of ways. For example, physical federalism, cooperative federalism, legislative federalism. So here, physical empowerment of states is very important to manage the COVID crisis, because in the seventh schedule of the constitution, public health is mentioned in our state list, and also law and order or public order is also mentioned in a state list. So it is the responsibility of states to manage the crisis, and this kind of COVID crisis can be managed effectively if we are approaching in a decentralized manner. That means we are starting from the bottom to up approach. That means panchayats, we had that panchayat day, and prime minister interacted with number of sarpanch. After panchayat, we have the states, districts and states, and then we got the center. So this problem can be solved if we empower the panchayats and also the districts and the states. So here, now see the first statement here. Due to COVID-19, both at center and state are physically stressed. Physical problem hai, there is no earning, only expenditure. For example, yesterday we have seen a tweet by Mamata Banerjee from West Bengal, and she said that no earning, only burning. No earning, only burning. Because they are not getting any money. For example, sales tax नहीं हो रहा है, you वाइन्स के शॉप नहीं खुला है, because wine is a good uh, helper in earning the money for the state budget. So you can say that there is a no empowerment, there is a no source of money or revenue for the states. The pandemic has forced them to undertake huge expenditure to save life, livelihood, and reduce distress, and more to create a stimulus to revive the economy as we map the exit strategy. So they are getting less money, and expenditure is more. So overall, the states are suffering from a huge deficit. Being closer to the people, states have a much larger responsibility in fighting the war, because the states are much closer to the people than the center. So states can manage this COVID crisis more effectively than the center. So public health as well as public order are the state subjects in the constitution. So constitution itself places this public health in the state subject of the seventh schedule of the constitution. Now, Focus on health and economy is the need of the hour. Pandemic has underlined the historical neglect of healthcare sector in the country. Now, if you have seen this picture जो आपके सामने आ रहा होगा, you see the situation of hospitals in India. There are lack of beds in the hospital, and in economic survey lecture, I taught you a number of things like in social sector. In social sector, India's expenditure is only around 7% of the GDP. 7% of the GDP. That is very much less when you compare with European country, and they spend around something 20 to 25% of GDP on social sector. And social sector consists of health, you can say education, and then some old age pension, widow pension, some vaccination, some kind of women empowerment, child empowerment schemes. So all constitute the social sector. And out of this social sector, we are spending only 1.3% of GDP on our health sector. 1.3% of GDP, the health sector, if you combine both center and the state. So this is very low. अभी 2-3 दिन पहले आपने न्यूज में भी देखा होगा कि our health expenditure last year was less than our military expenditure or something, defense acquisitions. The acute shortage of protective gear, testing kits, ventilators, and hospital beds have been a major handicap. An immediate task of state is to ramp up their availability on the supply. आजकल न्यूज में पढ़ रहे हो गए, टेस्टिंग किट्स कम हो रही हैं और अब वेंटिलेटर्स नहीं है. और फॉर एग्जांपल दिल्ली ordered 500 ventilators to manage the crisis. प्रोटेक्टिव गियर्स का प्रॉब्लम है. Now, in addition, the disruption caused by the lockdown has caused untold misery and providing relief and rehabilitation to migrant laborers and informal sector workers had to the focus. We have seen the people migrating from urban area to rural area. There's a reverse migration going on, and there's a no employment creation, and people are facing unemployment situation. They are not earning enough to feed themselves and their family. So it is the responsibility of government to provide them food, provide them sustainability, provide them some kind of rehabilitation, provide them housing. And this again will cause huge expenditure. In 2017-18, in per capita terms, the public expenditure on medical and health varied from an abysmal 690 in Bihar, 814 in Uttar Pradesh, to the highest of 2092 in Kerala. Now see the inequality in expenditure among the states in health sector. Per capita expenditure in Bihar is only 690 rupees. In Uttar Pradesh, 814 rupees, and highest in Kerala, that is 2092 rupees. Expenditure on medical and public health. Now, this expenditure, if you observe properly and draw the map, then you think that in Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, the poverty is mainly concentrated here. MP and also in Rajasthan. Poverty is mainly concentrated here. So these states do not have enough capacity to manage the health system. Whereas Kerala got low population burden, and also the population is highly educated, and the economy of Kerala is much better than the economy of other states or poor states in northern India. So the Kerala is spending more on the health sector, and in this COVID crisis, you have also observed that Kerala managed the COVID crisis in a better manner if you compare with the northern states. In Kerala, we got the more testing. For example, in Uttar Pradesh, the testing is only around something maybe 35,000, In Punjab, we have testing only 9,000 in today's newspaper. In Bihar, again, the testing is only around 15 to 17,000. And the hospital capacity is also less in the northern part. So you have to increase the expenditure on the health sector to manage the present crisis and also prepare for the future crises. So centrally sponsored scheme like National Health Mission that was launched way back in 2005 is inadequately funded and poorly targeted. National Health Mission got the two components, National Health Mission Urban and National Health Mission Rural. That is poorly targeted and also inadequately funded. And the focus of Ayushman Bharat has been to educate insurance rather than building wellness centers. Ayushman Bharat के अंदर दो components है. We got one related with the insurance and other related with construction of wellness centers, 1.5 lakh wellness centers. But major focus of this Ayushman center was to educate the insurance. 10.74 करोड़ families को insurance 5 लाख रुपए का मिलेगा. This was a major thrust and under this Ayushman Bharat, and this construction or building the wellness center now ignored. So you have to change the system. You have to change the policy priorities and policy focus to get best out of these policies or to get best for the crisis management. Now next one, extensive revenue losses for the states. While the requirement of the states for immediate expenditure is large, they are severely crippled in their resources. They don't have money, but they are spending more. In centrally sponsored schemes, yes. In centrally sponsored scheme, 70-30 funding of center and state, ये सही है ना? Is 60-40. 60-40, and also this is not applicable for the states. There are some states like North East states, and the state like Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, and UT of this Jammu and Kashmir, Northeast states, 7 sister states, and also the Sikkim. They got share 90 and 10. Okay. So in the lockdown period, there are virtually been no economic activity, and they have not been able to generate any revenue from the state excise duty. कोई मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एक्टिविटी नहीं हो रही है, एंड स्टॉम्प ड्यूटी कोई रजिस्ट्रेशन, ये सारी चीजें नहीं हो रही है. मोटर व्हीकल टैक्स कोई सेल नहीं हो रहा है, एंड सेल टैक्स ऑन हाई स्पीड डीजल एंड मोटर स्पीड वो भी नहीं है. The revenue from GST is stagnant. Of course, there is no manufacturing, no trade, things are happening. And compensation on the time for the loss of revenue has not been forthcoming. So compensation is also not coming from the center. Compensation is also not coming from the center, because you have seen number of reports from a number of states, especially the opposition ruled states. They are crying for the money from the center and say that please give us our dues. And also center is struggling to manage the finances. अभी 2-3 दिन पहले आपने सुना होगा कि we are going to have a financial emergency. You know, we have never seen such kind of situation earlier, and we have never applied the Article 360 of the Constitution. 360 of the Constitution is about imposing financial emergency. If the situation arises, this can be used. So the revenue from goods and service taxes is stagnant, and compensation on time for the loss of revenue has not been forthcoming. For example, in Karnataka, for example, it is reported that as against the estimated 12,000 crore every month, the state may not be able to generate even 300 crore in April this month. So there is a huge loss, and the states are suffering from a financial crisis. As the recovery process will be staggered, it is doubtful whether tax revenues will register any positive growth in 2020-21, because for the tax revenue to register positive growth and higher growth, there must be some kind of economic activities going on. But as of now, it is totally stagnant. Nothing is going on in Indian manufacturing sector, Indian trade, service sector also. So lack and also low tax devolution. The taxes from a fund from consolidated fund of India to states, again there are number of delays. Next is physical consolidation process relief. So the speed of economic revival will depend on how long it will take to revive the economic activity and the volume of stimulus through public spending the government is able to provide. It will depend on number of things, how government is responding to the crisis, and also after how many days we are going to start lifting this lockdown, and what kind of direction will be of spending by the central government and the state government after the lockdown. It now appears that lockdown will be lifted in stages and recovery process will be prolonged. The country is literally placed in financing a war-like country is literally placed in facing a war-like situation, and government will have to postpone the physical consolidation process. So as of now, physical deficit (FD) should be 3% of GDP, 3% of the GDP. But to provide stimulus to the economy and provide livelihood to the people and rehabilitation of the migrants, we have to increase this limit from 3% to maybe 4% to 5% or maybe even to 6% of the GDP. Because these are the extraordinary times where you have to finance our economy through some kind of deficit financing. This is also the time for the government to announce relaxation in states' fiscal deficit limit, because states are also bound by 3% of state GDP. To make them effective participant in the struggle, it is important for states to realize the importance of health and prioritize spending on healthcare services. So the spending कहाँ पर होना चाहिए after the lockdown? The spending should be in some areas. For example, the spending should be on capital things, creating assets, providing employment to the people, and increasing income of the people, so that we can develop a virtuous cycle of increasing income in the economy. If you increase spending in infrastructure, that infrastructure will increase employment, and employment will increase the income of people, and income of people will increase demand in the economy, and if demand in the economy, then will experience economic growth, and if economic growth, then we can again have more spending on infrastructure. So these kind of virtuous cycle needed for the economic revival. So the priority of spending expenditure must be on infrastructure or some asset building. And also, along with that, the priority should be to spend on education and health also. Now see, as of now, we are facing the problem in education sector also. All the schools are closed, colleges closed, universities closed, and we don't have kind of internet or computer services in rural area, so that we can video stream these lectures to the students. So we should develop online courses also. More penetration of information technology in education sector. The kind of initiative like a smart classroom. So those initiatives should be encouraged, and more spending on health, R&D, research and development. More spending on vaccination, more spending on preventive care, more spending on primary health care in rural areas, in urban areas also. So you have to prioritize of the expenditure so that we can develop a kind of virtuous cycle. For example, if you invest on infrastructure, that infrastructure will create employment, and employment will increase the income of the people, and with increase in income, we can witness the increase in demand in the economy, and if demand in the economy, then we can have economic growth, and if economic growth, we can spend more on infrastructure. समझ आया अभी आपको ये? Further, states are better informed to decide the areas and activity where relaxation should be done, as the coronavirus curve is flattened in some states. Now see, some of the states like Kerala, yes, sir, so yes, some of the states like Kerala, or you can say Goa. Now Goa, there's no active case in Goa, and Kerala, you can also say that the graph is now flattening. The recovery rate is more than the new coronavirus cases. The number of recovered patients is now more than the new coronavirus cases. So Hello everyone. Am I audible now? Yes. Okay, so I lost internet connection. You know, everyone is using internet, so speed is less. Arnav, yes. Sakshi, yes. Harshita, yes. Okay, so there was a question by Keshav. He said that what do you mean by center will have to postpone the physical consolidation process? Now see, every year government maintains some kind of physical deficit target. That means कितना रेवेन्यू होगा और कितना हम खर्च करेंगे. फॉर एग्जांपल आपको घर से मिलता है ना पैसा, लेट्स सी आपको 20,000 मिलता है पर मंथ, एंड आउट ऑफ दैट 20,000 आप टारगेट करते हो ना कि 19,000 खर्च करेंगे और 1,000 बचा लेंगे. सो दिस इज 1,000 इज सरप्लस. बट मैनी टाइम्स क्या होता है, यू you get 20,000 but the budget is of 21,000. So 1,000 आपका क्या होता है, डेफिसिट. So इसको बोलते हैं डेफिसिट. So similarly in the government case, revenue is less and the planning for expenditure is more. So जो ये डेफिसिट होता है, that is financed by some kind of borrowing. So this is the target. So अभी क्या होगा, because of COVID crisis, income is even getting lesser. In future it will get more contracted in future. So जब income कम हो जाएगा and expenditure is more, that means you have to increase this kind of physical deficit uh, targets. So as of now the target is fixed 3%. Now of course government breached it. It was 3.5 last year, 3.4, 3.3. So it will be more this year. It may go to the 6% or maybe 5.5, 6%, 6.5%. So furthermore, states are better informed to decide the areas, activities. यहाँ पर था मैं. So center can identify the areas and also what kind of activities should be permitted in those areas, because all the states are not impacted by the COVID. So you can say the rural areas, we can have food processing industry in rural areas. You can have some kind of agriculture related industry. In rural area, we can have service industries also. In urban area also, the low populated areas, you can have some activities. And also in the large cities where you have the red hotspot and green hotspots. So green hotspot में क्या क्या activities हो सकते हैं. So the states can decide that. So states are better placed. Hopefully there will be better coordination between union and state governments instead of claiming credit and apportioning blame. So you can say there must be an integrated approach. There should not be any opposition and ruling party. There should be a one ruling system in India, and that system must comprise the central government, state government, opposition, ruling, everything, and they must work in cohesion. There should be an integrated approach. So the war on COVID can be effectively won when the states are armed with enough resources to meet the crisis. To meet the crisis. ये जीडीपी का होता है, जीडीपी का. अंकित, दृष्टि प्रसाद, वेट, कुछ तो लिखना है. Sir, it is really going to be a war-like situation, especially if the government is taking steps toward curbing public expenditure, the recent Haryana government decision to postpone the vacancy of government jobs for 1 year. Moreover, deficit financing is the near future can't be counterbalanced through fiscal consolidation or revenue generation. That's very right. There is going to be a big problem future ahead, and this corona thing is not going to get over in near future. You may not see the metro services for whole year in Delhi. And the government is not able to manage the things because they lack, states lack resources. अभी आपने देखा होगा कि डीए कट हो गया है गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉयज का. There is going to be high unemployment. Unemployment may increase to 30, 40, even 50% of working population. I was going through some report 2 days back. It shows that 23% employment in India from 6% 1 year back. Companies started firing, and also if they're not firing, they have reduced the salary. They reduce the salary by 50%, 60%, maybe 40%, 30%, because they don't have work from where they're going to pay their employees. And this physical consolidation is the only way forward. Or you can say physical deficit is the only way forward as of now. You have to get money from somewhere and also manage the inflation, because inflation on food items, inflation on non-essential things are also increasing. Because if the inflation increases, the poor population will suffer more. You have to secure a kind of employment to the poor population, income security to the poor population. So the program like Manrega should be launched in a wider scale, because the intention of Manrega is to provide employment to the people, increase their income, and also reduce migration from rural to urban area. These kind of employment, large scale employment, should be the thrust of the government. समझ आया आपको दृष्टि? अंकित कुमार सर, बिहार इलेक्शन का क्या होगा? अभी देश का पता नहीं, बिहार का इलेक्शन का क्या करोगे? बिहार इलेक्शन का क्या? बिहार इलेक्शन, यू कैन से व्हाट अबाउट द फ्यूचर ऑफ उद्धव ठाकरे एमएलसी? we'll have some arrangement, and 3-4 दिन पहले there was some report by election commission. They are exploring some alternatives. So in this situation they can tweak the election process. We'll see in future क्या होता है उसमें. दृष्टि समझ आया आपको? आपको सुनाई दे रहा है? प्लीज. तो क्वेश्चन पूछ के गायब हो जाते क्या? क्वेश्चन पूछने के बाद ना आंसर भी सुनना होता है. चलो कोई नहीं. There is only limited scope for expenditure. अच्छा, सुना किसी ने? Thank you. Okay. Thank you. This is the only limited scope for expenditure switching and reprioritization now. Their borrowing space too is limited by the physical responsibility and budget management limit of 3% of the state GDP. क्योंकि जो FRBM Act है, उसके अंदर we got only 3% of state GDP. States there got some limitation in the borrowing. ठीक है, तो उनका जो borrowing space है वो बहुत कम है. So central government need to relax that space, increase that space, relax that limit. So announcement by RBI on the increase in, this is more of a relevant point. So therefore, it is important for central government to provide additional borrowing space by 2% from the prevailing 3%. So author said that the additional borrowing space should be around 5% of the GSDP. So be 5% of state GDP. There is a time to physically empower states to wage the COVID-19 war and trust them to spend on protecting lives, livelihoods, and initiate on economic recovery. So there is need to a cohesion of central government and state government, and there must be a trust between center and the state government, so that the whole of money and the resources can be directed to protect the life, livelihood, and initiate an economic recovery. So now next page is, there was an article The Hindu said that village is still relevant. Now historically we have seen that villages neglected, especially in 1991 globalization. So COVID-19 crisis should inspire society and government to review the past development policies, particularly regarding the rural areas. Particularly regarding rural areas. How did the employment discourse change, developmental discourse change after 1990s? Change Road government was considered as a facilitator in the free market economy, where private sector was considered as a growth engine. As a result, the state's own infrastructure shrank. Now, before 1991 and after 1991. So before 1991, the role of government was to act as a producer and also act as a provider of goods and services. Producer, provider of the goods and services. And after 1991, this role of government replaced by the private sector. Now, private sector act as a producer of goods and services, provider of goods and services, and state now act more as a regulator, regulating the private sector. Now, in this process, the responsibility of state to provide the infrastructure services now reduced, and there is a complete neglect of rural area, rural regions, and that's why the cities are now growing much faster than the rural India. Impact on public goods, health and education sector open for the private sector. We have seen that health and education, health and education. Now private sector entry is allowed here. And private sector, you have seen that education में कितना सारा fees होता है. And this education and health, because of private sector participation and neglect by the state, neglect by the government, and you can say withdrawal by the government, this health and education has become more unaffordable for the poor population in India. Impact on public employment. Several states decided to stop giving permanent appointment letter to doctors and teachers in mid 1990s. You can see the teachers in Bihar, they are on ad hoc basis. There is a huge unemployment in rural areas. The rural sustainability is now in danger. Rural industry is destroyed, rural livelihood destroyed, agriculture sector is suffering. People are migrating from rural to urban areas. And with the advent of globalization and private sector in the Indian economy, there is a huge contractualization of the employment and distribution of supply chain, fragmentation of the supply chain. People, for example, there is a if A is a company, it employs maybe 100 laborers, and that laborers and an additional 50 laborers. This 50 labor may be on basis of some contract, 3-year contract. Last year there was a question on UPSC prelims, said that what is the meaning of fixed term employment. फिक्स टर्म दिया जाएगा और उसमें एम्प्लॉयमेंट होगा, इट कैन बी रिन्यूड आल्सो. सो जो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बेसिस पे एम्प्लॉयमेंट होता है, एडॉक बेसिस पे एम्प्लॉयमेंट होता है, दे लैक सिक्योरिटी, जॉब सिक्योरिटी कम होता है. आल्सो एट द सेम टाइम दे आल्सो लैक द हेल्थ सिक्योरिटी, उनका जो हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस होता है वो नहीं होता है. ठीक है. So developmental discourse change after 1990s due to globalization and LPG reforms. The government role changed from producer and provider of goods and services to a regulator of the private sector, regulator of the market. Next is impact on public goods. Health and education sector now open for the private sector, and now this became unaffordable. Impact on public employment, more of a contractualization of the jobs, and those contract basis jobs lack the security like job security, social security also, and fear of job loss. It compromises the dignity of the people, dignity of the person. So impact on villages. You see, why people migrate from rural to urban area, because there must be two factors, push and pull factor. Push factors, PUSH, push factors act on rural area and push factor act on urban area. So push factor, you can say that lack of electricity, lack of education things, lack of health facility, lack of running water facility, lack of infrastructure, lack of employment, lack of sanitation, lack of livelihood in rural area, lack of road infrastructure, connectivity, lack of market, lack of finances. So these factors act as a push for a person to move from rural to urban area. And in urban area, you have number of pull factors. For example, good infrastructure, good livelihood, good prospects of employment, greater economic activities, greater livelihood, good quality of life, and also social acceptability. In rural India, the society is more segregated. एक गांव में there must be some kind of मोहल्ला जहां पर SC/ST population रहते हैं, some kind of मोहल्ला जहां पर ब्राह्मण लोग रहते हैं, some compact settlement जहां पर यादव और different community रह रही होती है, and SC/ST population again face some kind of discrimination there, and that discrimination is somehow eliminated, or you can say get reduced in urban area. अभी आप रेस्टोरेंट में खाना खाने जाते हो, never ask the caste of a waiter, right? But in rural India, there's a huge discrimination, untouchability also. So these social practices also act as a push factor in rural area and more social recognition in as a pull factor in urban area. So people migrate from rural to urban area. The thing is, we must provide urban amenities in rural India. There was a concept like Pura by APJ Abdul Kalam, said that providing urban amenities in rural areas. Urban amenities in rural areas. Like, why can't we provide connectivity in rural area, market services in rural area, rural industries in rural, employment in the rural areas, education, good education services in rural area, electricity in rural areas. But what we have done is we have neglected rural areas and focused more on the city, because in present economic development perspective, urbanization is seen as a metric of development. A country is more developed because it is more urbanized. Now the thinking about development has to be changed after this pandemic. We have to develop our rural areas. There is some question by Shreyas, lack of opportunity. Very nice in rural areas. So perspective, our view point related with development, what comprises the development has to be changed, and that will change likely. We have to invest more on rural areas, and people have gone to rural areas. जो लोग यहाँ से गए rural areas, they are very less likely that they will come back again. They have suffered a lot. Providing basic amenities such as running water, electricity, jobs to rural people was considered easier if they moved to a city. Hence, immigration from rural areas to cities was both justified and encouraged, because urbanization was a metric of development. Rural to urban migration was considered natural that happens in the course of economic development. This resulted in overall shrinking of rural livelihoods. Migration, अभिषेक कुमार, वही तो बता रहा हूं मैं. Now see the consequences of urban oriented development strategy. It led to discriminatory funding in every sphere, including health, education, leading to increased inequality between rural and urban areas. More spending in urban areas on the sectors like health, education, reduced quality of life in villages, as the availability of qualified doctors and teachers willing to work in villages reduced drastically. Number of times you see the government encourage the doctors to serve in rural area. There are some kind of new national health commission जो bill आया अभी, there are some provisions. So doctors need to go to the rural area and serve some years there, because the doctor to population ratio is more in urban areas and less in rural areas. Hospitals are less in rural areas, and the kind of facilities are also less in rural areas. Still, many rural areas not even having primary health care centers, and many people need to travel some around 100 kilometers to get the basic health care services. This is the health infrastructure in our rural area. Reduced quality of life in villages, as the availability of quality doctors and teachers willing to work in villages reduced drastically. कोई नहीं रहना चाहता है, because in the social dimension, अगर आप रूरल एरिया में रहते हो, you are poor. you are bad mannered, these kind of things start हो जाते हैं. Growth of vast slums in mega cities was considered as normal and inevitable. For example, in India, 17%, 17%, 17% of our urban population, this is the 2017 data, 17% of our urban population is living in slums. And these slums now a region of diseases. You see the Dharavi in Mumbai, more than 300 cases and some 15 people died in Dharavi. And the population density of Dharavi is very, very high. For example, in 2011 data, population density of Dharavi was 58,800 person, 58,800 person per 1 kilometer area. This is the population density of Dharavi. And because of high population density, this Dharavi becomes even more vulnerable to this kind of infectious diseases, corona. We have not even managed our population in urban area. We have encouraged the urbanization, but we have not provided good housing and good settlement system in urban area. It was a haphazard development of urban centers in India. Loss of human resource in villages, immigration led to depletion of working age population in villages. Now villages now becoming more old age homes. आपके करंट अफेयर की क्लासेस में पहले मैंने पढ़ाया था. One thing that was feminization of agriculture, because men are migrating from rural to urban area in the search of job, and women left out in rural area taking the job of agriculture. So increased feminization of agriculture. There is a social parameter change also in rural area. Women are more than the men in the areas where you are witnessing huge amount of migration from rural to urban area. Young population is less, and an old population is increasing. At the same time, old population is more vulnerable for disease. So mortality rate is also high in those areas. And young people are migrating from rural to urban area. So there are crimes are also increasing in rural area. The dignity of women now compromised there because no one is there to protect. So agriculture, the main resource of livelihood in villages, was declared as no longer profitable enough to attract the young, which led to its stagnation. Agriculture is not profitable. The growth is very less. At the same time, there is a huge fragmentation of agricultural fields. We have seen 86% of our farmers are small and marginal, and that agricultural field becomes not profitable for them. अंकित कुमार सर, लेकिन अगर गवर्नमेंट करना भी चाहे तो विलेज के लोग कहते हैं कि इन्वायरमेंट खराब हो गया या इन्वायरमेंट खराब होगा या फार्मर्स लैंड भी देते, लैंड नहीं देते, ये भी तो प्रॉब्लम है गवर्नमेंट के लिए. ओके, नाउ सी, if you want to develop an area, Harshita, not all villages do this, very nice. Now see Ankit, if you want to develop an area, you must develop area according to some kind of symbiotic relationship with the local economy. If a village got fertile soil, good fertile soil and growing wheat or growing some kind of horticulture crops, for example tomato, potato. So in this area, if you are setting up some food processing center that will buy the tomato and potato from this region and process and will provide some kind of contract with the farmers, will have some kind of contract with the farmers, so that farmers will be earning more. And this kind of insurance, if the farmers are getting, they will be willing to provide land for the infrastructure development. So there must be symbiotic relationship between industry and the economy, local economy of the region. And rural India, the best way is to provide agro-based industries. Agro-based industries. अगर कहीं पर wheat ज़्यादा होता है तो हम flour making industry बना सकते हैं. समझ रहे हो? Kartika Goyal, industry established doesn't specify development overall. No, industry does not specify the development. For example, Jharkhand got huge number of industries, but one of the poor, because there is a no pen. Let's see, we will try. In Jharkhand, if you say there is a one growth center, the good in steel industry, for example, Tata Steel in Jamshedpur. This industry, a plant, act as a growth center and absorb the people in the region and from the beyond, will act as a provider of employment there. But over the years, the people from different areas now came here and accumulated the employment there. And with the industry of steel, there was a no symbiotic relationship with the local economy there. This Jharkhand is located in middle lower Ganga valley, and this is fertile land. So we have created the industry, but there was no linkage with the local economy. Of course, there are minerals, but you exploit the minerals and not investing in that region. And this is considered as a major reason for the Naxalite movement there in Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand region. So industry establishment is not a development overall. However, you can also say that this is can be a one metric of development. We need industries, but beyond industries, we need many things also. So next question is by Ananya. So like in Kerala, in a village, very old tradition, lakes are revived, and now the locals are dependent on water for daily use and crops. Very nice. Backwaters and also the lakes, freshwater lakes that can solve the problems related with the local water availability for daily use and crops also. Backwaters का हम waters desalinize कर सकते हैं. दृष्टि, isn't it that social development facilitates economic development? Very nice. It is very right that social development facilitate economic development, because social development means, देखो example लो, social development means health empowerment, means education empowerment. So if a person is of good health, that means its cognitive value will be more, अगर cognitive value will more, that means good health, good cognitive value, good health, good productivity. If the productivity is high, that means that person will be able to work for more hours. The more hours, that means more income, and more income means more demand, and more demand means more growth. So social development facilitate economic development. This is very much right. And this is especially true for villages in India, very right. We can invest on health, education, that we have seen. The push factor is mainly the social problems. We don't have education, we don't have health, we don't have drinking water, we don't have housing. ये सब social में आता है. The priority should be on the social indicators that are measured. Very nice, Dusty. Priority should be on social sector. And also to support the social sector and to convert the development in social sector to have economic development, we must also focus on the linkage, the kind of gap between economic development and social development. We have to bridge the economic development social development. If you are providing a good health to a person और उसका body work कर रहा है, we must also provide employment so that he can earn and sustain. He can earn money through the employment and invest on himself and the family's nutrition. समझ गए आप? So we must invest on social sector and also economic development there. Unskilled labor will not allowed in industry. Will not allowed, this word is something not appropriate. You can say unskilled labor is neglected in industry. They are allowed for some work, but they are largely neglected. They are not allowed, or you can say they are not required or not favored in the critical jobs in the industry. समझ में आया अनन्या, दृष्टि and Ankit? Dृष्टि got it. Very good. Good. पानी पी लेता हूँ मैं. Yes, sir. So agriculture is no longer profitable and decline in village handicraft. It was argued that handicrafts were destined to die, as it was believed that craftsmen and women can't survive without state support. This was mainly because of the competition from the globalized firms, and that was competition between unequals, because these rural handicrafts require the state support. And after this LPG reform, state withdrew itself from the economy. So loss of Gram Swaraj, stuck between state minimalism and commercial entrepreneurship, villages lost capacity they had for regenerating their economy or intellectual resources. So this is a kind of consequence of urban oriented development strategy, and we have neglected the rural India. And today we realize the importance of rural India. So what we can do now? Impact of pandemic. New urban architecture denied the rural migrants their visibility. This led to their issues being overlooked by administration while declaring the lockdown. Cities could not offer protection to rural immigrants against such exigencies, which lead to their mass migration, often by foot. We have seen number of people migrating from urban to rural area, some even traveling for 1,000 kilometers. पैदल ही जा रहे हैं highways पे, because they don't have uh, any chance of surviving in urban area. They don't have money to buy food. It exposed the weakness of city-driven development model. City-driven development model. The crisis has demonstrated the unsustainable socio-economic arrangement of post-1991 developmental model. So pandemic has given us a lot of things. So way ahead, a decentralized development strategy. We must develop in a decentralized way. We must empower our panchayats, provide them funds, train their human resource, plan the development with panchayat and rural population at the center, regenerating rural economic capabilities. We must provide some kind of agro-based industries in rural India, electricity there, connectivity there, market, presence of market there. And connectivity is not only road connectivity, it should be knowledge connectivity also. Telemedicine, telehealth, tele-education, internet connectivity as well. So agriculture to be given prominence in policy making. For example, you can have separate agricultural budget, or you can say separate agriculture or rural cabinet within that larger cabinet. A rural cabinet may comprise of some ministers like rural development minister, agriculture minister, panchayati raj minister, you can say drinking water, Jal Shakti ministry, you can say energy ministry, renewable energy ministry, finance minister. So these ministers collectively can develop one food processing minister also can develop one body that can be called as a rural cabinet and take decision in a more proactive manner. So and also skilling of rural population. Give them fund, give them training, give them business plan, give them exposure related with the economic activities going on, different areas, and link that particular enterprise with the expert panel, so that that expert panel can guide that business enterprise in a best possible ways, so that they can earn more. So this is the way forward. We must develop our rural area to survive in the future, because these kind of coronavirus kind of diseases or some disruption in urban area is likely to happen always. We have seen floods in number of cities. We have seen dengue, we have seen Nipah virus, now you got corona. Pollution is again a problem. So for better future and better sustainability, we must develop our rural India. This is very important horticulture production data for prelims, and also that data can be used for the mains. This is really very important. Now see, as per land use statistics 2014-15, total geographical area of country is 328.7 million hectare. ये तो सबको पता है, 328.7 million hectare, including that Jammu and Kashmir, जो POK से बोलता है. It's also part of ours, right? Of which reported net sown area is 140 million hectare. Net sown area is 140 million hectare, and gross cropped area is 198 million hectare. अब net sown area and gross sown area में पता difference पता है आपको? अच्छा, फॉर एग्जाम्पल यू हैव 2 फील्ड्स और दोनों फील्ड 2-2 हेक्टेयर का है, 2-2 हेक्टेयर का, ठीक है। और 2 फील्ड 2-2 हेक्टेयर का है तो नेट दोनों को अगर जोड़ेंगे तो 4 हेक्टेयर हुआ कि नहीं। सो दिस 4 हेक्टेयर इज अ नेट सोन एरिया, 4 हेक्टेयर इज अ नेट सोन एरिया। अब ये 2 हेक्टेयर वाला फील्ड है दोनों, इन दोनों को मैंने 2-2 बार शो करा तो कितना हो गया, एक फील्ड को 2 बार करा तो 2 दूनी 4, 2 4, 4 + 4 4 4 8। सो 8 क्या हो गया, ग्रॉस सोन एरिया। सो यू कैन से दैट ग्रॉस सोन एरिया विल बी greater than or equal, can be greater than or equal to net zone area. So यहाँ पर इंडिया में क्या केस क्या है, 140 million hectare is a net zone area and 198 million hectare is gross zone area. with the cropping intensity कितना है, 142%। क्रॉपिंग इंटेंसिटी मतलब एक पर्टिकुलर फील्ड को आप साल में कितनी बार शो करते हो, कितनी क्रॉप्स आप उसमें उगाते हो। सो ऑन एन एवरेज इंडिया में 1.4 टाइम्स एक फील्ड को हम शो करते हैं, प्लाउ करते हैं। सो 142% is the cropping intensity in India. The net area sown works out to be 43% of total geographical area. So net sown area is 43% of total geographical area and net irrigated area, जो net sown area है उसका irrigated area कितना है, that is 68 million hectare. So out of 140 million hectare, the net irrigated is 68 million hectare. So this is very less. So status of Indian horticulture, status of Indian horticulture 2018-19. So horticulture contributes 30% of agriculture GDP. ये क्लास में पढ़ाया था मैंने. So horticulture crops occupy 12.8% of total cropped area. जितना भी cropped area है इंडिया का उसका 12% में horticulture पैदा होता है. And annual growth rate horticulture का कितना है, 3.7%. And area under horticulture crop is 25 million hectare. So 25 million hectare area में horticulture crops show करी जाती है, and this constitute 30% of agriculture GDP and 12% of total crop area, 12.8% of total crop area, and annual growth on an average is 3.7%. Now see, we are going to give exam in 2020 most likely, and this is the end year of the decade. So believe me, there will be 4 to 5 questions in prelims that will ask some comparison between 2010 and 2020. They may ask like horticulture witnessed growth, consistent growth in last decade. इस तरीके का क्वेश्चन आएगा, decadal comparison पूछेगा. And that's why this data is very important. I will also come up with some kind of oil seed data, some crop data also, cereals data also, cash crop data also. So percentage share of horticulture output in agriculture is becoming 30%. Percentage जो share होता है horticulture output in agriculture. So over the last decade, the area under horticulture grew by, you see, over the last decade, the area under horticulture grew by 2.6% per annum. Annual production increased by 4.8%. So you can say that the area under horticulture crop increased less than the annual production increase. So the area under horticulture grew by 2.6%, whereas the annual production increased by 4.8%. So the contribution of vegetables remain highest. So total horticulture है उसमें से जो वेजिटेबल का कंट्रीब्यूशन है, दिस वन, वेजिटेबल का कंट्रीब्यूशन 59%, फ्रूट्स 31%, वेजिटेबल 59%, फ्रूट्स 31%, स्पाइसेस 3%, प्लांटेशन क्रॉप जैसे जिसे रबर प्लांट जैसे बोलते हैं, कोकोनट जैसे प्लांटेशन क्रॉप 6%, फ्लावर एंड एरोमेटिक 1%. So vegetable constitute the largest section in our in horticulture. And if you combine vegetable and fruit, it is 90%. 90%. So vegetable and fruits constitute 90% of horticulture production. So contribution of vegetable remain highest, and state of Uttar Pradesh. Now see, this is cold storage, number of cold storage. उत्तर प्रदेश में सबसे ज्यादा है 2368, whereas followed by Gujarat 890, there's a huge gap, and Punjab 670. So grapes occupy the premier position in export. सबसे ज्यादा जो हॉर्टिकल्चर का एक्सपोर्ट होता है इंडिया से, उसमें सबसे ज्यादा ग्रेप्स का होता है. ठीक है, ग्रेप्स का सबसे ज्यादा होता है. And other fruits that also attain significant position in export, banana and mango. Banana and mango. And major destination for Indian fruits and vegetables, कहाँ पर हम export करते हैं? That is Bangladesh, UAE, Netherlands, Nepal, Malaysia, UK, Sri Lanka, Oman and Qatar. Generally बहुत हम export करते हैं fruits वगैरह in Nepal. नेपाल में बहुत export करते हैं. So West Asia, you got this Oman, Qatar, UAE, and Europe also, you got the Netherlands. Southeast Asia, Malaysia, and here Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh, South Asia. So this leading horticulture crops in India. Fruits में सबसे ज्यादा कौन होता है? मैंगो. प्रोडक्शन एरिया सबसे ज्यादा किस में है? मैंगो के अंदर. और मैंगो सबसे ज्यादा पैदा कहाँ पे होता है? कौन से स्टेट में? एनीवन कैन आंसर? बताएगा कोई? मैंगो सबसे ज्यादा कहाँ पैदा होता है? सबसे ज्यादा इंडिया में. कोई तो बोला. शिवानंद, महाराष्ट्र. हाँ, तुम महाराष्ट्र से हो तो वहीं का कर लो सब. हर्षिता, यूपी. नो. कृतिका, अरे महाराष्ट्र में ऑरेंजेज होते हैं सबसे ज्यादा. महाराष्ट्र में ग्रेप्स सबसे ज्यादा होते हैं. मैंगो, मैंगो, आम का सीजन आने वाला है ना. सबसे ज्यादा कहाँ पर पैदा होता है? केरला. वो एनीवन एल्स? गेस करो. आप लोग 22-25 लोग हो. यू कैन से दैट. एक एक स्टेट का नाम लोगे तो फंस जाएगा. यूपी, हिमाचल. नो. उत्तर प्रदेश ही तो है सर. अच्छा. बिहार, साक्षी. ओके, विल सी. अभी देखते हैं. आएगा डेटा, आएगा स्टेट वाइज भी. विल आल्सो सी दैट. आंध्र प्रदेश, आंचल. वेरी नाइस, वेरी गुड. मैंगो, बनाना, पपाया. प्रोडक्टिविटी सबसे ज्यादा पपाया की है, पपीता की. प्रोडक्शन सबसे ज्यादा फ्रूट्स में बनाना का होता है, और एरिया सबसे अंदर किसका है? मैंगो का. वेजिटेबल्स, पोटैटो. आई वाज नॉट आस्किंग एरिया, आई वाज आस्किंग अबाउट द प्रोडक्शन ऑफ. सबसे ज्यादा मैंगो कहाँ पैदा होता है? वेजिटेबल में सबसे एरिया पोटैटो. पोटैटो सबसे ज्यादा पैदा होता है उत्तर प्रदेश में. प्रोडक्शन भी पोटैटो का सबसे ज्यादा है. एंड प्रोडक्टिविटी टैपियोका. टैपियोका इन सबसे ज्यादा पैदा होता है इन केरल में. प्लांटेशन क्रॉप कोकोनट, कोकोनट, कोकोनट. स्पाइसेस क्यूमिन, गार्लिक. ये जो गार्लिक है ना, गार्लिक, जिंजर, स्पाइसेस सबसे ज्यादा कहाँ पैदा होता है? एनीवन कैन आंसर प्लीज? स्पाइसेस. आंचल, केरल. एनीवन? स्पाइसेस Sivan and Kerala. Rasmi, Kerala. Anyone else? गूगल सर्च नहीं करना है सभी को. हर्षिता आंध्र प्रदेश, अंकित तमिलनाडु, हर्षिता it is Rajasthan. Spices, largest spices production in India is in Rajasthan. I ask this question because सभी लोग आंसर ना केरल ही करेंगे, because Kerala looks like spices, right? But हिस्ट्री में पढ़ते हैं पीपल ट्रेड होता है उधर से स्पाइसेस लगता है नहीं, because spices is not only about cardamom or you can say pepper, it also include haldi, it also include dhania, coriander, because number of other things also comes under spices. So as of now the highest in Rajasthan, Rajasthan is the largest producer of spices in India, followed by Gujarat and then Maharashtra. Harshita, Andhra Pradesh, you have written Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh is the largest producer of haldi. Turmeric होता है ना, largest producer of turmeric haldi है, वो turmeric आंध्र प्रदेश है. हर्षिता OIC, yes. और जो वर्ल्ड का है ना, वर्ल्ड का 80% हल्दी इंडिया में पैदा होता है. वर्ल्ड का 80% हल्दी इंडिया में पैदा होता है. ठीक है, डन हो गया अभी, पक्का. आगे बढ़ते हैं, बहुत सारी इंटरेस्टिंग चीजें मिलेंगी इधर. ओके, सो प्रोडक्शन से देख लीजिए 59% सबसे ज्यादा वेजिटेबल है, देन फ्रूट्स एंड बोथ टुगेदर 90%, एंड सबसे कम फ्लावर्स है. फ्लावर्स इंडिया में सबसे ज्यादा कहाँ पे पैदा होते हैं? आंसर करते करते पढ़ाई करेंगे. केसो बुबना, यूके, उत्तराखंड में फ्लावर सबसे ज्यादा, जम्मू एंड कश्मीर आई थिंक. भैया सोचना नहीं है. आंचल कर्नाटका, रश्मि हिमाचल प्रदेश. अच्छा, सब लोग ठंडी जगह जा रहे हैं. और हर्षिता समवेयर इन ईस्ट इंडिया. अच्छा, दैट वाज नाइस आंसर. और सुधर जाओ आप लोग. इस तमिलनाडु फ्लावर्स, हाईएस्ट इन तमिलनाडु फ्लावर्स. ये पढ़ाया मैंने क्लास में हॉर्टिकल्चर में. फ्लावर सबसे ज्यादा इधर होगा तमिलनाडु में, फ्लोरिकल्चर. कश्मीर का और ट्यूलिप गार्डन देखते हैं, उससे समझ आते हैं यहीं पे फ्लावर सबसे ज्यादा होगा. नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होता है. ठीक है, इट इज इन तमिलनाडु. अच्छा, वेजिटेबल कहाँ पर होगा सबसे ज्यादा, बताइए. अरविंद गोलू, तमिलनाडु में वेजिटेबल होगा सबसे ज्यादा. श्रेयस यूपी. और बताइए, वेजिटेबल वेजिटेबल. अमित यादव वेस्ट बंगाल. नहीं, श्रेयस यू गॉट इट राइट. रश्मि यू गॉट इट राइट. इट इज उत्तर प्रदेश. एंड अमित, वेस्ट बंगाल वाज द लार्जेस्ट प्रोड्यूसर 2-3 साल पहले, बट एज ऑफ नाउ इट इज उत्तर प्रदेश, लार्जेस्ट प्रोड्यूसर ऑफ उत्तर प्रदेश. उत्तर प्रदेश और वेस्ट बंगाल में कंपटीशन होता रहता है. ठीक है, ओके. So we'll go now. Vegetables, fruits, spices only 3%. So area in horticulture सबसे ज्यादा एरिया कहाँ पर होगा? एरिया 10 million hectare vegetable. सबसे ज्यादा एरिया अंडर हॉर्टिकल्चर कम्स अंडर वेजिटेबल्स, दैट इज 10%. फ्रूट 6.6%, सबसे ज्यादा वेजिटेबल के पास एरिया है. देन फ्रूट, देन स्पाइसेस. सबसे ज्यादा कोल्ड स्टोरेज से मैंने गेस किया, अरे कोल्ड स्टोरेज इज यूज फॉर पोटैटो देयर, बिकॉज पोटैटो में उत्तर प्रदेश इज द लार्जेस्ट. ठीक है, तो वो कोल्ड स्टोरेज पोटैटो में जनरली यूज करते हैं. ठीक है, सो कोल्ड स्टोरेज उत्तर प्रदेश में यू कैन से potato. अच्छा, flower, okay, vegetables, and that's good. Vegetable, then it is okay. I thought you have guessed the Uttar Pradesh for flowers. Very nice, good, good, good. Fruit 6.6 million hectare, spices 3.95, that is 4 million hectare, plantation 3.87, aromatic medicinal plant 0.6, flower 0.3. So total horticulture area 25 million hectare. So सबसे ज्यादा आउट ऑफ दिस 25 मिलियन हेक्टेयर सबसे ज्यादा वेजिटेबल, देन फ्रूट्स, देन स्पाइसेस. तीन का याद रखना. और सबसे कम फ्लावर्स. अब फ्लावर का आपने देखा कि सबसे कम शेयर भी है, और सबसे कम इधर, सबसे कम शेयर फ्लावर्स का 1%, और सबसे कम फ्लावर्स का एरिया में भी. सबसे ज्यादा वेजिटेबल्स, सबसे ज्यादा वेजिटेबल का एरिया में भी. सब सेकेंड नंबर पे फ्रूट्स, एंड सेकेंड नंबर पे फ्रूट्स, ये 6.6. ठीक है, बट द सिचुएशन यहाँ पर स्पाइसेस में दूसरा है. स्पाइसेस में 3% और यहाँ पर 3.95 मिलियन हेक्टेयर. तो यहाँ दो का देखे रहना, वेजिटेबल, फ्रूट्स एंड स्पाइसेस. Now production in horticulture, vegetable 183 million tons. ये पता है आपको, सबसे ज्यादा वेजिटेबल पैदा होगा in percentage wise and also in volume wise. Productivity in horticulture, सबसे ज्यादा productivity vegetables. Again, everywhere we got the vegetables. Productivity 18.3 tons per hectare, fruits 14.8 ton per hectare, flowers 9.7 ton per hectare. अच्छा, now fruits here, आंध्र प्रदेश टोटल जितना फ्रूट्स होता है इंडिया में उसका 15.6% शेयर रहता है. वेजिटेबल उत्तर प्रदेश, प्लांटेशन क्रॉप केरला, फ्लावर्स तमिलनाडु. टोटल इंडिया का जो फ्लावर्स होता है 17.33%. स्पाइसेस मध्य, दिस इज रॉन्ग यार. स्पाइसेस राजस्थान, मध्य प्रदेश नहीं है. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे आप सही कर लेना. स्पाइसेस राजस्थान, मध्य प्रदेश नहीं है. मध्य प्रदेश वाज लास्ट ईयर, ये पहले था, तो इसका प्रॉब्लम है इधर. अभी राजस्थान. ठीक है, सही कर लोगे या पक्का आया ना? यस सर, यस. स्पाइसेस राजस्थान, नॉट मध्य प्रदेश. So per capita availability of fruit gram per person per day is 207. 207 ग्राम पर पर्सन पर डे अवेलेबिलिटी है इंडिया में फ्रूट्स का. दैट इज वेरी लेस, बिकॉज जितना अवेलेबल है, इट्स नॉट दैट वी आर कंज्यूमिंग दिस मच. नो, वी एक्सपोर्ट आल्सो. पर कैपिटा अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ वेजिटेबल, दैट इज वेरी हाई, 393 ग्राम्स पर पर्सन पर डे. हाँ हाँ, मैंगो का आंध्र प्रदेश है. ठीक है, ठीक है. Yes, fruits also. So per capita availability of vegetable 393, and per capita availability of fruits 207. So this is about horticulture data. याद रहेगा आपको, यहाँ पे fruits आंध्र प्रदेश, vegetable उत्तर प्रदेश, plantation crop केरला, flowers तमिलनाडु, spices राजस्थान यू गॉट द प्रोडक्टिविटी, सबसे ज्यादा वेजिटेबल, सेकंड फ्रूट, यहाँ पर भी प्रोडक्शन में वेजिटेबल, सेकंड फ्रूट, एरिया में वेजिटेबल, सेकंड फ्रूट, परसेंटेज शेयर वेजिटेबल, सेकंड फ्रूट, ठीक है। Okay. So now there is a one scheme launched by Prime Minister on 24th April. पंचायत राज दिवस में प्राइम मिनिस्टर लॉन्च वन स्कीम, स्वामित्व योजना। स्वामित्व मतलब अपनापन, समथिंग, स्वामित्व मतलब ऑनरशिप, मतलब ऑनर, अपनापन तो नहीं, स्वामित्व योजना और ऑनरशिप स्कीम टू मैप रेजिडेंशियल लैंड ऑनरशिप, to map residential land ownership in rural sector using modern technology like use of drones. ड्रोन का यूज करके हम लैंड ओनरशिप को मैप करेंगे. दिस इज अ काइंड ऑफ लैंड रिफॉर्म इन रूरल एरिया. द स्कीम एम्स टू रिवोल्यूशनलाइज द प्रॉपर्टी रिकॉर्ड मेंटेनेंस इन इंडिया. कैसे प्रॉपर्टी को रिकॉर्ड को मेंटेन करते हैं. देखो, अगर आपके पास प्रॉपर्टी का डॉक्यूमेंट है तो आप बैंक के पास जाओगे, आपको लोन मिलने का चांसेस ज्यादा रहेगा कि नहीं. And this is the major problem in India. People got the home, people got the some fields, but they lack good authorized documents. Authorized ownership is missing in India and rural India many times. So features, the scheme is piloted by Panchayat Raj Ministry. The residential land in villages will be measured using drones to create a non-disputable record. एक डेटाबेस बनाया जाएगा जितना भी रेजिडेंशियल एरिया है, और उस मैप डेटाबेस के अकॉर्डिंग वो सर्टिफिकेट्स दिए जाएंगे टू ऑल द लैंड ओनर्स. प्रॉपर्टी कार्ड फॉर एवरी प्रॉपर्टी इन द विलेज विल बी प्रिपेयर्ड बाय द स्टेट्स. रिमेंबर दिस, स्टेट्स करेगा, प्रिपेयर करेगा, यूजिंग एक्यूरेट मेजरमेंट्स delivered by drone mapping. This card will be given to property owners and will be recognized by Land Revenue Records Department. Land Revenue Record Department will also recognize this one. So significance क्या होगा? What will be the benefit of this scheme? स्वामित्व योजना वाला, स्वामित्व योजना का स्कीम का सिग्निफिकेंस. पहला सिग्निफिकेंस, the delivery of property rights through an official document will enable villagers to access bank finance using their property as collateral. अगर बैंक में लोन लेने जाओ तो पूछता है ना, तुम क्या गिरवी रखोगे टाइप, 3 साल 5 साल 8 साल के लिए. सो दिस इज द डॉक्यूमेंट, घर का डॉक्यूमेंट. Property records for a village will also be maintained at panchayat level, allowing for collection of associated tax. हाउस टैक्स होता है ना, तो पंचायत is authorized to collect that tax. The money generated from these local taxes will be used to build rural infrastructure and facilities. Rural infrastructure and facilities. Freeing the residential properties, including land of title disputes and creation of official record, is likely to result in appreciation in market value of properties. तो अगर प्रॉपर्टीज का डॉक्यूमेंट प्रॉपर होगा तो उसका वैल्यू भी तो बढ़ेगा मार्केट में, उसके प्राइसेस भी बढ़ेंगे. So accurate property records can be used for facilitating tax collection, new building and structural plans, and issuing of permits, and for thwarting attempts at property grabbing. वो भी खत्म हो सकता है, प्रॉपर्टी ग्रैब जो करते हैं वो भी खत्म होगा. द सेम टाइम टैक्स कलेक्शन अच्छा होगा, न्यू बिल्डिंग स्ट्रक्चर हम प्लान कर सकते हैं. So there are significance. One is accessing financing from the bank. Second is पंचायत लेवल फंक्शनिंग अच्छा होगा, उसको टैक्स कलेक्ट कर सकता है. जब पंचायत का टैक्स कलेक्ट करेगा, दैट मींस पंचायत कैन इन्वेस्ट आल्सो इन लोकल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट. अदर इज टाइटल डिस्प्यूट्स खत्म कर सकते हैं. जब प्रॉपर राइट्स होगा, लैंड रिकॉर्ड्स होगा, तो मार्केट में उस लैंड का वैल्यू भी ज्यादा होगा. समझ गए? इतना समझ आया आपको? आज का क्लास समझ आया? आई डोंट हैव पेन, सो उतना क्वालिटी अच्छे से आता नहीं है। लॉकडाउन में मैं खरीद भी नहीं सकता हूँ, तो मे बी बाय नेक्स्ट क्लास विल हैव समथिंग। 3 तारीख को अगर नॉन एसेंशियल थिंग्स विल बी अलाउड, देन आई विल बाय द इलेक्ट्रॉनिक पेन। एक्चुअली एक है बट वो कहीं और रखा हुआ है, तो यूज नहीं कर सकते हो, आपका कोचिंग में है। समझ आया सभी को? अच्छा, नहीं समझ में आएगा तो पूछना है। साक्षी यस, हर्षिता यस, अभिषेक यस। नहीं समझ में आता है तो पूछना है, ठीक है? हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू न्यू स्टूडेंट्स, न्यू एडमिशंस? अरविंद, ओके। Aravind, I think you have taken the new admission, right? Supriya, yes. Kartika, Sajal, Aravindo, Sajal, Kartika, Supriya. Supriya, Kartika, Sajal, Aravindo. Only 4. So all these Supriya, Kartika, Sajal, Aravindo, are the new students. And if you have any doubt, please question पूछना है. Write. Oh, sorry, Kratika. It's Kratika. Okay. कृतिका, इफ यू हैव एनी डाउट जस्ट मैसेज करना है, यहाँ पर राइट कर लिखना है, आई विल एड्रेस दैट। ठीक है, जब आज का समझ आया सबको? थैंक यू।